And Derro Kwan was born in Congo. The concept of Derro Kwan was born in Congo, December of last year. And the aim really is to revamp education in the sub-region. The concept of Derro came up because we asked ourselves, where is the money going to come from? Who is going to give us the money if we are to revamp education? And the idea is that we are going to get the money from ourselves first. If you don't struggle, if you always beg, not very many people are going to be able to help you. And this is our own problem as Acholi. We should rise up, struggle, try to put things back together. So the idea of Derro Kwan is that we raise money and put it in this Derro granary so that together we make enough money to begin to sponsor some children in the sub-region. I don't need to tell you how far we have sunk as far as education is concerned. We are really down there, we are nowhere. And everywhere we have been going in this sub-region, what really captures the imagination is when you talk about Derro Kwan. Because everybody in the sub-region knows that as far as our education is concerned, we are really in a bad place. That if we don't improve on education, being part of Uganda is going to become very difficult for us. So everywhere we go, you talk about Derro Kwan, people listen because they think this is one of the things that is going to help us. Things have not been very easy in as far as raising funds is concerned, but we haven't given up. The idea was that in this sub-region, if each person from the age of 1 day to the age of 100 plus, if each year we were just to give 1,000 shillings each, we would be raising enough money to at least begin to sponsor some of our children in school. To the tune of maybe 2.5 billion shillings a year. And I think that is possible. It's not been easy yet, but I think the more we talk about this, the more people begin to learn what we want to do, it's going to happen. So we call upon each one of us here present who can spread the news for us. Please begin to encourage people, just 1,000 shillings a year. And it's going to help us to sponsor children in school. We can't sponsor very many because of lack of funds. But we can begin to do something. That is what we want to do. Begin to do something. As the years go by, you never know, we'll be able to get more funds and we can do something better. Now, the idea of sponsorship, in the large scale of things, we are thinking big. We are thinking of beginning even from primary. You all know that most of our schools these days, we don't give the children very good foundation. And the foundation of education really goes back to P1. The child should learn to read, the child should learn to write, to count. And that foundation in our schools is at the moment very weak. So that even if we say in primary 7 we want to start sponsoring children going to senior 1, they are not going to pass well enough to allow them to compete in secondary school admission. So what we're saying is that, okay, as the years go, our plan is to begin to pick some children, some very bright children. We see that they have a future. They are promising. We pick them, we select them from the primary schools, from P5, so that we put them in better schools where their foundation will be strengthened. So that when they come to P7, they can pass well and they can have a better future in the secondary school. But that is still ahead. We also want to sponsor children in secondary schools, beginning from senior 1 to senior 4. And sponsor some in HSC, senior 5, senior 6. And also ultimately at university level, tertiary level. So this is in the big scheme of things. We are not going to start this next year yet. But what we have decided is that this coming year, 2025, we should not just sit and do nothing. Because if you don't do anything, this interest that you have generated in people may disappear. We want to do something not only to keep interest alive, but also to teach us. If we can experiment with this, we can learn a lot. What have we done right? What have we not done right? So our interest this year, as the members of the selecting committee for the sponsorship of the few children at Acholi, is to begin to bite a little as a pilot program, pilot project. And we are only aiming at sponsoring a few in Senior 1, 2025. Senior 1, 2025. Number 1, how many are we aiming at sponsoring this coming year? Our plan is to sponsor 60 in the whole sub-region. 60 students. How do we come to 60? We have 8 districts in the sub-region. We have Guru City also, and then we have Piku municipality. So from each district, we are going to pick 7. And that will bring us to 56. And then the sub-region, in the city, we pick 2. In the municipality, Kitu, we pick 2. That comes to 60. So that is the number we want to sponsor this farm. Number 2, who is going to be selected? How are we going to select the children that we want to sponsor? And I want you to hear this one very, very carefully because it's very, very important. It would have been very easy if we say we just select according to performance, academics. That would be very easy. You just wait for your name exams and you go by that. But we think, our thinking is different. We think a child's future is not only determined by academics. There are other things that come in. Academic success may not lead to eventual success of a child in life. So there are parameters that we have put in place that we're going to look at. Academic is one of them. We think that that child we are going to select should be good enough academically to manage Senior 1 in a good school. And that child, according to what we are thinking, should at least score grade 1 or grade 2. We know that they are weak, and we are aiming mainly at the government-sponsored schools in the villages, so they are not going to perform very well. But if a child can score well, grade 1, grade 2, then we are going to consider that one. But not only that. Secondly, the child should be, the conduct of the child should be good. We are also considering the conduct of that child. Because you may sponsor a very clever person who is a thief, or who doesn't care about anything. Then that will lead us into more problems. So we are also looking at the conduct of the child. Are they helpful? Are they obedient? Do they cooperate? When they're in school, what kind of person are they in the community, in the school community? We are also going to look at the ability of this child to pay fees. Because we have parents who are able. Yes. We have parents who are able but not willing. You know what I mean? Yes. So we want to zero on that child whose parent or guardian is struggling but really interested in seeing the child succeed in life. Maybe in each term, that 30,000, they struggle, they take an installment. But the school knows this parent, this guardian is interested in the future of the child, but is not able to pay. We have parents who are very able-bodied, who each morning go and do some little work, then they go to the center to play card. They don't care about the children. We are thinking, we are very sorry for this kind of child. But if you now go to sponsor that kind of child, you are also sponsoring irresponsibility. So we want that one who is really needy, who is needy. Number 3, we want that child who also participates widely in other activities in the school. Extracurricular activities. In Uganda these days, I know that most of the things that we concentrate on is academic. But we also know that success these days does not only come through. Success these days does not only come from academic, but also from other activities. So for example, some people succeed in life because of music, athletics, and other things. So we don't want only to zero on academic, but also on the other talents that the child may have. So we are also going to consider that one. And another one is that we also want to see how willing the child's parent or guardian is in supporting the activities of the school. Do they come to PTA meetings? Do they come to Parents' Day when you invite them to come and look at the performance of their children, and so on and so forth? And lastly, if the child has disability, we also want to look at that. The child who has got to P7, has struggled with some kind of disability, and can compete, we will also give that one some marks. So each of these areas will be graded. We have allocated marks to each one of these areas. So that before we select the child, we look at all these areas and we weigh them and we grade them. Now, which schools are we going to send these children to when we select them? Only schools in the sub-region, not elsewhere. We think that this little money which we can get from the sub-region should remain in the sub-region, and we don't have enough money to sponsor for the high fees of the other places. So it is only in the sub-region. We are currently looking at the possible schools to which we can send our children. What work have we done so far as the selection committee? It has not been easy to lay all these systems in place. So I apologize that we are late. Things have been done rather late. But some work has already been done. We have already developed forms that should be filled by the child, by the school. Those ones are already available. Secondly, we have written letters to the depots, to COW, to head teachers, asking particular DOs to allow